This is a jar filled with hammerhead sharks, and there appears to be something rather unusual towards the back. I'm not entirely sure what it could be. Today, we're going to open it up and take a closer look inside. This belongs to the collection of odd animal specimens. What we have here is an exceptionally small hammerhead shark, preserved in remarkably good condition. Oh my, just look at this. This is absolutely marvelous. Alright, let's see what we've got here. This is an extremely tiny hammerhead shark, and its condition is simply wonderful. Look closely, the head is in great shape, the dorsal fin looks excellent, and the pectoral fins are spot on. Have a look at this little mouth, just there. We've even got the pelvic fins, which look fantastic, and the tail is in good condition as well. Normally, when I take a specimen out of a jar, I've no real idea what state it might be in. But this one looks really nice. It's completely intact. It almost resembles a toy shark. Often, you'll find that some of these samples have a slit down the middle, or they've been partially dissected by a scientist conducting research. But this specimen, this is quite pristine. A couple of questions spring to mind straight away. First of all, what sort of hammerhead shark is this? There are several species of hammerheads, and we'll need to work that out. And also, if you look here, right in the middle, this is rather interesting. It almost looks like a shark belly button. As odd as that sounds, it really does appear quite fresh, almost like a newborn feature. That could mean a few things, so keep that in mind for later. Now, I also mentioned earlier that there's something strange in this jar, some kind of feathery looking material at the bottom. I've no idea what that might be just yet. These are the questions we'll hopefully be able to answer. What might help us is this tag right here at the bottom. There's an information label attached, and that might provide us with some of the answers we're after. Very nice, here we have the tag. Let's take a closer look at it. At the top it reads, Collection of Fishes from the University of Michigan Museum of Zoology. So, this specimen specifically comes from the University of Michigan Museum of Zoology. Now, here's the part that's important to us. Species, Sphernotib. That refers to a bonnethead shark, which is quite significant. Fully grown bonnethead sharks reach between 2 and 4 feet in length. This little one clearly isn't anywhere near that size, which tells us straight away, it's a pup, a baby bonnethead. If you study the head closely, you'll see it doesn't really have the dramatic hammer shape. Instead, it looks rather more like a shovel. In fact, bonnetheads are sometimes referred to as shovelheads, just another common name. The label also gives us locality, Bahamas Islands, Bimini, Lerner Marine Lab, dock, so it was collected off a dock at Bimini, wherever precisely that may be. The collector was someone named So Gandaras, and the date of collection is July 10th. 1957. That means this specimen was collected back in 1957. Remarkably old, and even more impressive given the excellent condition it's in. But the most crucial piece of information we've gained from this tag is confirmation. These are bonnethead sharks. That's very useful indeed. As for that strange feathery looking material at the bottom, I think I may have an idea of what it could be. I'm not entirely certain just yet, though. We'll need to pull out a few more things to know for sure. Let's bring out another shark. The head looks great, the pectoral fins, the tail, everything is in very good condition. And again, it has that curious little belly button right there, so the mystery continues. Here's something rather fascinating we can do now that we've got a couple of specimens out. We can actually determine whether a shark is male or female. This works not only for bonnetheads, but for many species of shark. The key is to examine a very specific part of the body, these fins here, called the pelvic fins. Take a close look. You'll notice that they're really just two simple flaps, nothing extra. Nothing complicated. These are the pelvic fins of a female shark. Which means, congratulations, we've got ourselves a baby girl. A female shark pup. Now let's have a look at this next one. At first glance, the pelvic fins don't appear much different from the first. Again, simple and plain. So I'd say we've got another female pup here. 2 baby girls. We'll check some of the other specimens later to see if we come across any males. But remember what this looks like, it'll give us a point of comparison. For now, I'll set these 2 carefully over here and give them a nice little spray to keep them fresh. We've got to keep these specimens damp with water so they don't dry out. Back into the jar they go. Now, I can't quite get over these odd chunks that are floating about in here. I'm not entirely sure what they are just yet, I've got a hunch. But nothing certain. Fortunately, there's another tag tucked inside, and I think that might give us a bit more information. Let's pull it out and see what we can find. Let's see what this tag says. Alright, Bimini, July 10th, 1957, Lerner Marine Lab Doc, 7-pound female, preserved, Segundar. I'm not entirely sure about that last word, it's written in cursive and rather difficult to make out. But here's the interesting bit. It says 7-pound female. None of these specimens here weigh 7 pounds. Not a single one. And I think this might just solve our mystery. Here's what I believe we're looking at. A collection of shark pups. A whole jar full of shark babies. Very likely taken from a preserved female shark that had been collected for scientific research. That would also explain this strange feathery material floating around in the jar. And to show you what I mean, let me just point something out quickly. These could be shark embryos. We'll need to take out a few more specimens to be certain. The next part is going to be rather tricky. When I pull this shark out, you might notice something very odd. You'll have to look extremely closely to see it. So we must be very, very careful. Oof. Alright, can you see that? This shark is still attached to something. It's connected to that feathery material in the jar. The very thing we've been trying to identify. I'm fairly certain this is the umbilical cord, joined right at that belly button area of the shark. Now, this could get rather messy, because much of what I'm about to pull out is all interconnected. I'll do my best to handle it carefully and keep things intact. Oh dear, just look at this. All of the sharks are completely tangled together at the moment, an absolute knot of specimens. What a mess. We'll have to carefully unravel everything to make sense of what we're looking at. What a pull this is, absolutely astonishing. Let's give everything a good spray to be sure it all stays nicely wet. Alright, here we go. Let's see what we've got. This is absolutely extraordinary. I'm actually shaking. I'm so excited. I believe our suspicions were correct. Those feathery structures inside the jar appear to be umbilical cords. And here, at last, is a clear view. A tiny hammerhead pup still attached to its umbilical cord. Joined right at the belly button area. Absolutely remarkable. And just here, we've got a cluster of 3 small sharks still connected to something. I think this could well be part of the reproductive tract of that 7-pound female mentioned on the tag. Which means these aren't just pups, they're embryos. Unborn sharks, preserved in astonishing condition. Now, do you remember earlier when I explained how to distinguish between a male and a female shark? Let's see if we can work that out here. Taking a close look at the pelvic fins of this one, have a good look with me. Tell me what you think, but to my eye, these pelvic fins look quite similar to the others. Which would mean this is our third baby girl. Another female hammerhead pup. Moving on to the next one. Again, the fins appear much the same. So I'm fairly confident this is our 4th female. 4 girls so far. But now, finally, something a little different. Look closely at these pelvic fins. Do you notice anything unusual compared to the others? There are 2 small projections jutting out from them. These are called claspers, and they're the key identifying feature of male sharks. So, congratulations, we've got ourselves a mixed litter of hammerhead pups, 4 females. And now 1 male, 5 pups in total, with more still left in the jar. Who knows, there may be even more females. Or perhaps another male or 2 waiting to be discovered. What a jar this is. Let's give everything another spray to make sure it all stays nicely wet. This is truly rather unpleasant. I won't deny it. But here we have another small group. 2 more sharks to add to our growing litter. Let's see what we've got. Here's a very clear view of the umbilical cord once again. Flipping this one over and examining the pelvic fins. Oh. Now, boy or girl, what do you think? I'm fairly certain this one's a female. That leaves us still with only 1 male so far. Now, looking at the next specimen. You can see here a little mark. That's simply an identifying feature used by scientists in the field to keep track of specimens they've collected. But look closer, do you see? Right there, those are claspers, which means we've got another male to add to the group. So, another boy joins the litter. And now, at last, we've reached the final shark in the jar. Let's find out what this one turns out to be. Pulling it out now, examining the pelvic fins, I'm quite sure this one's a female as well. So, in total, that gives us 2 males and 5 females. But there's still one more thing in this jar. Something that should tie everything together and finally answer our questions about exactly what we're looking at here. One last information tag. Let's fish it out and see what it says. Alright, let's see what we've got. Sphyrna tiburo. The note reads, the female from which these embryos came is in tank. And that confirms everything we suspected. All of these specimens are bonnethead shark embryos. Scientists collected a 7-pound adult female, and while processing that specimen, they removed these pups from her reproductive tract. Absolutely astonishing. And that, right there, is the jar. So, what did you think? Which animals would you like to see next? I've got specimens from just about every creature you can imagine on planet Earth.